with the football. He's a good leader in the locker room. That's what Wally Barnow's more concerned with that. We talk about people on defense. Keith Gooch has to stop Pitts. Danny Bass can stop the run by himself, and Andre Francis draws Derek Crawford. Now, that's a big assignment for those guys.
Second down pass to Cherry. That hits screen again, and it produces another first down.
Well, they're going to be a lot more happy. They're going to be happier with that result than they were with the first one. But you get the seam, and then all Tony Cherry does is run, and their running back can do that. That what they like about Tony Cherry to follow up. He had a knock on him, but maybe a little bit of a troublemaker. And he says, "I have found exactly the opposite." Great team guy.
Joe Farragelli forced to do some lineup juggling late in the season, and the key switch he had to make was finding a replacement for Stuart Hill.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize just what Stuart Hill means to these Eskimos. An outstanding pass rusher. Even though he missed the latter part of the season, he led the league with 17 quarterback sacks. So when you take a guy like that out of the lineup, it just adds more pressure to the rest of them.
The injured player is Jeff Braswell, the linebacker. .49 is the time remaining in a still scoreless opening quarter here at McMahon Stadium. Calgary entertaining Edmonton in this CFL Western Final.
At Winnipeg Stadium, the Bombers and the Argos have concluded the proceedings of the East Division Final, and this is how it ended. With 18 seconds to go, the Bombers at midfield. Look at this gain by Bomber quarterback Tom Burgess to put the Bombers in the score zone all the way to the Argo 25, and with 10 seconds to go, Trevor Kennard, who booted 9 points in the first half for the Bombers, put them in the Grey Cup with maybe the 3 biggest points of his career. The Bombers 20, the Argos 17, and so, Don, we know one half of the field for the Grey Cup 1 week today.
Congratulations to Mike Riley and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are Vancouver bound a week from today. Will it be Edmonton or Calgary they'll face in the Grey Cup game? Jeff Braswell, the injured player, he was taken out of the ball game with what appears to be a serious knee injury, replaced by Mike McLean. Sapunjas on the receiving end of that throw for a gain of about 4 yards.
Tackled by
Andre Francis came up to make the tackle. This will really hurt that Edmonton defense if Braswell is forced out for the balance of the day, and at the moment it looks as though that might be the verdict. Second and 5, the toss to Cherry, and Cherry did not get back to the line of scrimmage. He was stopped for a loss over on the far side of the play as Enos Jackson came up to make the tackle.
Third down.
Run the option play. They faked the ball to McVay inside and pitched to Cherry. But what happened was Lloyd Fairbanks, who was pulling to try to block the outside man, did not make the block. He couldn't get out there quick enough. As a result, Cherry really had nowhere to run.
So that means a field goal attempt of 33 yards by Mark McLaughlin with 9:43 remaining in this scoreless opening quarter. The kick is up. It's good. And to the delight of this near-capacity crowd at McMahon Stadium, the Stampeders draw first blood. And not surprisingly, after the 33-yard field goal by McLaughlin, the Edmonton Eskimos want Calgary to kick off. They have one of the premier kickoff returners in the entire Canadian Football League in Henry the Gizmo Williams. However, they are kicking away from him, but he takes the toss. Runs out of room on the sidelines. Mark Singer forced him out of bounds.
Well, it's like we said, kick the ball away from him. Don't allow him to run. But, you know, that's still, you can still lateral the football to him. So on 2 kickoffs, that's what they've done, because the Giz is a threat to go every time he touches him.
It will be first and 10 from the 30. How important is scoring first? Well, the Stampeders have only lost once when they have been first on the board. And conversely, the Edmonton Eskimos have only won twice when the opposition has scored first. From the 30-yard line, first and 10. 3 receivers wide to the left. Tracy Ham throwing over the middle, looking for Marco Sincar, incomplete. Second and 10, Edmonton.
Well, they get right up in his face that time. 92, Henry Smith on a blitz right up the middle. Forced him to throw the football in a hurry. Couldn't hold it. David McCrary, those guys inside, they've got to shut down Craig Ellis. We talked about Warnock in the opening, and Junior Thurman has got to do the job on Larry Willis.
Catch made over the middle for a first down to the midfield stripe. Marco Sinkar coming right back. Ham went to him on the previous play, couldn't hit him. This time, a 25-yard strike.
Well, what happens a lot of times, you get so concerned about how you're going to stop Craig Ellis. Marco Sinkar, who only had 2 catches in last week's game against Saskatchewan, comes up with a big one right away.
Good protection for Ham as he throws deep, and he overthrows Todd Smith. Basically, the Stampeders will only come with that 4-man rush. It's up to that offensive line to provide the protection for Ham.
They're going to come with 4, hopefully. If they have to come with 5, then the set, whatever they've decided is the tendencies of the Eskimos, will determine who comes, whether it be the middle linebacker, Causey, or Finley, or Smith. We saw Smith come once. We'll see what happens done. It's definite 2nd and 10. Long yardage, got to come. Got to pass.
Tracy Ham throws to the sidelines, and Keith Wright makes the catch for a first down.
Came with nobody. Came with only the 4 men. Allowed him, give him time. The offensive line can do that. They run that curl to the wide receiver, and Wright gets inside to make the catch.
First and 10. The ball is at the 43 of the Stampeders, who lead the game 3-0. 7:53 remaining in this opening quarter. Forced to stay in the pocket, but he throws it over the middle, and another catch made by Todd Smith for a first down at the 25.
And again, 4-man rush. Tracy Ham has the time to move around. So here comes the rush. He dances away from it, looks downfield, right over top the linebackers into that area before they get to the secondary. Todd Smith makes the catch.
First and 10 from the 25. Calgary's game plan was to try and keep Tracy Ham in the pocket. Here's the draw play with Blake Marshall, and they ride him down at the 21. How important is it to keep Tracy Ham in the pocket? He was the CFL's West leading rusher.
Which, you know, first time in the history that a quarterback has led a division in rushing. 1,096 yards. That is a lot of running for Tracy Ham.
This is how efficient the Eskimos have been from inside the 25-yard line. Number 1 in the CFL. Incomplete. Ham was trying to throw over the middle to Blake Marshall. He got a hand on it, but could not haul down that high throw.
Calgary that time went man-to-man in the secondary with Greg Peterson sitting back in the middle to help on anything deep. So Marshall has to check out underneath. Couldn't make the catch, so going to have to come down to a field goal by McCready.
We talked about the injury to Stuart Hill and how big a blow that was defensively to the Eskimos. The loss of Reggie Taylor really hurt them offensively.
You know, when you take a guy with his ability out of there and they don't have the guy with the same natural abilities. They got the Michael Souls and the Brian Rawlings. But Reggie Taylor is something when he gets his hands on it.
Even though they had some problems pinning that ball for McCready, he is able to put it through, and with 6:12 remaining in the opening quarter, this game is tied at 3. Let's join Scott down in the sidelines.
Well, Don, the Eskimo defense already minus Stu Hill. Looks like it will finish this day with that outside linebacker, Jeff Braswell. The fact that he has his equipment off on the bench and is now going to the Edmonton locker room obviously means they're greatly concerned about the extent of an injury to his left ankle. You may be able to see they've got ice on it right now, but he's in a lot of pain and is unlikely to play again today.
Well, that is a loss for the Eskimos, because Braswell has had a fine season. He may not be the most popular individual with other teams in the CFL, but Joe Farragelli certainly realizes his value to the Eskimos.
Well, he showed it last week in that semifinal game with Saskatchewan when Ken Austin throws the first pass over the middle, and he intercepts it and goes 23 yards for a touchdown. Plus, he's kind of a rebel rouser on the field. He's always creating things and getting teams off their game.
Well, Matt Finlay doesn't normally return kickoffs, but this time he does a pretty good job of getting it back to the 50-yard line. Mark Norman was there to make the tackle. Is this leftover from Halloween or someone getting an early start on Christmas?
Must be Halloween. There's no snow here and it's sunny and warm. It certainly can't be that time of year. Big theme for Calgary today. Team coming off a bye. How well do you start early offensively? A lot of teams struggle a little bit. That first drive of theirs really is going to help them down the road.
Again, the Stampeders with great field position to start this series. Barrett gets to the outside, throws over on the far side of the field, and Alan Pitts may have jumped just a little soon.
A little bit too soon, and also pressure again. Brett Williams, 91, coming from the back. Quarterbacks will have a tendency to throw that ball high when you sprint to your left. You'll see 91 come into the picture. Takes that one step, grab hold of, delivers it high, and as you say, Pitts may have jumped just a little bit early.
2nd and 10 from the 50, 5:38 remaining in the opening quarter. The score is tied at 3. The winner will face the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next Sunday in the Grey Cup game, and we'll have it for you on CBC television. Barrett fired that one in, and this time Pitts made no mistake.
They dropped it, ruling incomplete. And the thing, 3 of them, all 3 officials, they had him surrounded. He did drop the football. They all saw it. Good read by Barrett. Got the ball there, but you got to hold on to it.
So on 3rd and 10, the Stampeders send out their punting unit. Two men back. The ball will bounce to the gizmo at the 15-yard line.
Watch out.
Darrell Hall is after him and forces him out of bounds. There's also a penalty flag back at the 50-yard line, and we'll sort it out for you when we return. A holding call on that punt return by Williams takes the ball back to the 7-yard line. The Eskimos are 1st and 10 from that point with 5:01 remaining in the opening quarter. The Eskimos send 3 receivers wide to the right. Hand off to Marshall, and he fights his way to the 10 for a pickup of 3. Tackled by Will Johnson.
Try to run inside behind the guard and tackle. Try to get in behind McCannell, 55. Watch him, comes out on Warnock, but what happens outside, Will Johnson comes right down the outside shoulder of the offensive tackler, Trevor Bowles, and he makes the hit on Marshall.
2nd and 7. A key play for the Eskimos. Tracy Ham's sideline pattern, and Larry Willis makes the catch up at the 20-yard line for a 1st down. Larry Willis, of course, the former Calgary Stampeder who went to the BC Lions and this year was traded to the Eskimos late in the season, would certainly like to play well against his former mates.
He's got 14 receptions with the Eskimos, but no touchdowns. He's got to come up big for them. They need him. So he's got 1,000 yards, and all those touchdowns were when he was still in BC.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line. From the backside, the pressure on Ham. He fumbles the football. Will Johnson's got it. Johnson loses it. However, I believe Calgary has retained possession. Ballard applied the hit on Tracy Ham from the backside, popping that ball loose. And it will be 1st and goal, it appears, for Calgary from just inside the 10.
Well, this is what you need. Big plays in big games. And Ballard at that defensive end position to the left of your screen, coming outside of Blake Dermott, number 50. And Tracy Ham just happened to be stepping that way. So when you get 2 objects hitting and that ball pops loose, they're very fortunate to get it back. But they have it, and they're on the 10-yard line.
They spot the ball actually just outside the 10. It looked initially as though it was going to be inside the 10. But that was a big hit by Ballard, the pressure of the front 4. And that time they got to quarterback Tracy Ham. There's the toss. This is going to be a pass by Sapundras. Beals can't hang on. He was wide open in the end zone.
Well, there's not much you can say about that. Sean Beals, a slot back, gets wide open. Sapunjas gets the toss, throws it right on. You just got to catch it. I mean, there's nothing else to say about that.
Sean Beals has not scored a touchdown this year in the CFL.
Well, he sure should have had this one. What do you think? Oh.
Sapunjas can't believe that Beals dropped that pass.
I think there's a lot of people in the stadium that can't believe it either.
Beals was the target again. Took a pretty good hit at about the 2-yard line as Barrett tried to deliver the ball this time. And it will be 3rd and 10.
He just stands up, throws the football. Barrett dumps inside. See 29 coming. It hits Danny Barrett. That's the halfback, Enos Jackson. So when that halfback disappears, the slot back, in this case, Beals has to get in there. He just didn't make the catch.
You have to hang on to a throw like that, right on the numbers, wide open in the end zone. Mark McLaughlin with his second field goal attempt of the day from 17 yards. And it is good as the Stampeders lead by 3, but the feeling over on the Calgary bench is they should have a 7-point advantage.
Well, Wally Bono, the coach of the Stampeders there, said the other day in the press conference, he said he would be the same on the sidelines as he's been all year. Somebody said, what if you get down early? He said, all you tell him, it's a long game. He said, if we get up early, I tell him the same thing because it's 60 minutes anyway you add it up.
He became the 20th head coach of the Stampeders on January the 4th. Beals this year has not been able to put one into the end zone. He'll never have a better opportunity to score a touchdown than he had right there.
He's looking for a place to hide. I mean, there's, there really isn't anything you can do. He dropped it, just go on about it, but boy, you sure feel bad.
1st and 10 from the 35. And gets the protection. He throws deep for Keith Wright, incomplete, knocked away by Hopkins.
Hopkins is an outstanding cornerback. He is tough to beat at the best of times. All he did was drop back into zone coverage, turn and run, but watch his head. His head is looking at the ball, so when that ball comes down, he goes up, just bats it away.
Tracy Ham looking downfield for Todd Smith, incomplete. Peterson and Hall were both defending. And so far, the Stampeders have done a good job of keeping Tracy Ham in the pocket. They've prevented him from running.
Usually only coming with 4. Occasionally we'll see 1, but most of the time it's 4. That time, Scrambled had the man coverage. Tried to get the ball there, but Greg Peterson coming, you know, as he should when that ball's up, came a long way to get in and help make the play. So again, they got to turn it over.
2:02, the time remaining in the opening quarter. 6-3, the Stampeders leading the Eskimos. McAreedy stands at his own 20-yard line. Good kick. Derek Crawford waits for it at his 25. Look out for this man. Danny Bass made the tackle at the 45-yard line after a 20-yard return. He had 3 punt return touchdowns this year, 2 of them against the Edmonton Eskimos.
He sure has. What an outstanding special teams player he is. But the big thing is he's an outstanding receiver, too. Got 15 touchdowns.
2,600 all-purpose yards. Had he played 18 games against the Edmonton Eskimos, he would have had almost 3,700 all-purpose yards this year. He had over 800 yards in the 4 meetings between Calgary and Edmonton. Tony Cherry picks up about 4 yards. Larry Ruck, with help from Danny Bass, made the tackle.
Talking about the running game of the Stampeders, Coach Wano and Huffnagel said this morning, we're not going to try to run wide on him. You can't. We're going to try to run at him with traps, draws. He says the reason you can't is Danny Bass in the middle. He said he has seen so much in his career. He knows the plays better than you do. And he said, so we got to just try to hope to get by him in a hurry.
Urban Bowman, the linebacker coach of the Edmonton Eskimos, is telling me this morning, he said there's probably nobody who reads as well as Danny Bass. Marshall Toner was the target of quarterback Danny Barrett, and Shelton was all over him, drawing a penalty flag.
Well, you saw Mark Mathis now. Last time they blitzed Jackson, this time Mark Mathis comes from the left side. It's number 13 coming from the bottom of your screen. He's coming on a blitz. You don't worry about the middle blitz. When that halfback's coming, that slot back, in this case, Toner, gets in there. Shelton jumps on his back and gives him the automatic first down.
Marshall Toner was almost as excited about the victory yesterday by the University of Saskatchewan Huskies and their trip to the Vanier Cup next weekend as he was about this football game. Danny Barrett won't get a chance to throw. Brett Williams and Mike Walker were both in on him, but it was the toaster who dumped Barrett back at the 47.
Well, we talked in the opening just how important that inside pressure is. You get upfield in a hurry. Quarterback's in the pocket. Now it's up to those guys coming inside, in this case Williams and Walker, to get there, and there they both are. Williams actually gets the sack, but Walker's right beside him.
2nd and 18 back at the 47. This should be the final play of the opening quarter. Barrett puts it out to Cherry. He could not hang on. Larry Ruck was defending against Tony Cherry, and that is the final play of the first quarter with the Stamps in front by 3. Well, there is no snow in Calgary, but there is certainly plenty in the Rocky Mountains to the west, and many of the avid skiers in this part of the world have already been out on the slopes. That gives us an opportunity to remind you that CBC Television will have extensive skiing coverage during the course of the winter months. Scott Oak will be visiting those slopes in the not-too-distant future.
Oh, Scott's big on that. He likes that business.
These days, we're going to get you up in a pair of skis.
Well, let's take a look what's going on. Now, here's Ballard. Watch how wide he splits in the tackle. What he's doing is racing him to turn the corner. He's just not quick enough. Let's watch Ballard. Watch the speed that Ballard shows. Gets outside, ducks that shoulder. Now, watch, Tracy Ham steps left, and that's what causes the fumble. Ballard has got speed. Will Johnson has speed. That's why you control Tracy Ham by getting upfield. If you get the hit on him, it's even better.
But fortunately for the Edmonton Eskimos, Sean Beals was not able to hang on to an end zone pass and was forced to kick a field goal. Jack Loda, former coach with both the Calgary Stampeders and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Ottawa Roughriders, a spectator at this afternoon's playoff game.
Haven't talked to Jack for a long time. We were neighbors in Regina when he was my coach there.
Second and 4 for the Calgary Stampeders to start the second quarter. That pass way over the head of Pitts, obviously a mix-up between Pitts and Danny Barrett as to the pattern, because there was no way Pitts was going to be able to catch that football.
3rd down, Stampeders.
In the first quarter, the Edmonton Eskimos had a little more offense, but that one turnover provided an opportunity for Calgary to kick the go-ahead field goal.
Yeah, and they should have a few more points. It should be up around 10 to 3 right now, and Beals drops a touchdown.
Brent Maddox trying to angle it out of bounds, and he does.
That's pretty good. It's going to probably be out around a 7, I think, maybe even more. Nope, 7.5.
On the sidelines, let's bring in Scott Oak.
Don, I'm with the outstanding defensive player. Well, Don, I'm with the outstanding defensive player in the Western Division, Stu Hill, who would love to be playing in this game, but cannot because of a broken wrist, and that's the deepest cut of all, not to be able to play this one.
Yeah, I've never missed a game in 7 years, and unfortunately I've missed the last 3, and I'm not used to being out in games like this, but I'm just trying to give a hand wherever I can at this point.
Looks pretty intense out there. Is that the impression you get from your position on the sidelines?
Well, very intense. We're playing with great intensity, but right now it just seems like we've made a few incredibly stupid mistakes, and they're still only up on a 6-3, so when we get it going here, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Enjoy the game as best you can, given you're not playing in it. Don?
Thank you very much.
On the toss, Souls is hauled down by Clausey. A gain of about 5 yards.
Souls is an outstanding running back at McGill University. Here they come. Blake Dermott blocking down. Coming outside, Pierre Vercheval. Blake Marshall blocks outside, but they force him inside where you know you're going to get help. Don't let him outside, then you can get those red jersey all over him.
2nd and 5. Little too far for Larry Willis.
Yeah, Larry Willis had a good step and a half on Junior Thurman. Tracy just got it too far downfield. See, to me, that's not a bad pattern on his 2nd down. If you want to try to go deep, you got a chance to get man-to-man coverage, get a good wide receiver. It's one-on-one. If it's intercepted, it's going to be out around midfield. And this way, you don't get the rush to punt it. But right now, the Stampeders have blocked one. Let's see if they go after it again.
McCready stands about 4 yards deep in the end zone for this 3rd down kick. This is a good one. Pee Wee Smith on the sidelines, but I believe he stepped out of bounds before he was knocked out of bounds. He tried to tiptoe down the sidelines, but was knocked out of bounds. 13:18 is the time remaining in the 2nd quarter. First and 10 for the Stampeders at the 41-yard line. Stuart Hill lamenting the fact that he felt the Eskimos had made some mistakes in the opening quarter and the minute or so that we played in the 2nd quarter. Calgary Stampeders have made a few themselves. Beals on the sidelines was the target that Barrett was looking for. He overthrew him.
Barrett threw that to those cheerleaders down there in the red and white stripes. He came back on that bootleg action, and Larry Ruck, the linebacker, had a free shot at him. He had to throw it. He just threw it out of bounds.
In the very first game of the season, Danny Barrett was scrambling all over the park out in Vancouver in the game between the Lions and the Stampeders. He suffered that broken ankle. You see the hit by Larry Ruck. He's out for 6 games, and he hasn't been running as much since he returned. Another high throw.
Well, you see the result of this. Man-to-man coverage. Andre Francis coming to the inside with Derek Crawford. When that ball is in the air, that was in the air about 40 yards. Shelton, his job is go to the ball and cause a collision. Well, that was a heck of a collision because Andre Francis was slow getting up and Crawford's still down, and it was Shelton's hit. Watch him. Here he comes. Crawford goes up. Doesn't have it. There's the hit. You see Francis. He's slow getting up. Derek Crawford's still down. Shelton knows he made a hit. He got up jumping around. That's the safety man's dream.
Joe Farragelli's team has already lost Jeff Braswell this afternoon. If Wally Buono is forced to play without Derek Crawford this afternoon, that would certainly be a blow to the Stampeders.
Oh, sure would. Not only as a pass receiver, but we're going to take a look at Brett Williams. He's been getting in good today. Tom Spallettini does a good job, creates the throwing lane for Danny Barrett. But we saw what happened at the end of the play. Danny Barrett would have just pulled that down and run. In man-to-man coverage, he would have been able to go. But he has to get that throw down. If you throw the ball high and that receiver is extended, that's when he takes the heck of a hit. Get it down low.
Andre Francis involved in that collision. And Andre Francis is having some problems, it would appear, with that right wrist.
He took a heck of a hit. You know, he was involved in the collision. It was a three-way shot. Shelton coming from that safety man position is a 200-pounder. So Bill Crawford's still down.
Well, in case you missed it earlier, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have advanced to the Grey Cup. A late field goal by Trevor Kennard, giving Winnipeg a 2017 triumph over the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, the best thing here is Derek Crawford is up and walking off the field. You know, you always get a little bit afraid when that receiver runs that collision course with the safety. He's laughing a little bit. He's all right. He'll be back next series. 3rd down. They're going to have a long field goal, so he'll get the rest a little bit.
McLaughlin will be attempting a 47-yard field goal. It's good. The majority of his kicks in his CFL career have been between 40 and 49 yards. And he has a pretty good percentage from that range.
If he's going to hit them all like that one, put them all out there. Take a loss to get it back there, because he hit that one just perfect.
12:34 remaining in the half. 9-3, the Stampeders lead.
Nothing to it. He said, I don't miss from 40 to 49.
Danny Barrett had picked up that kicking tee before the ball was through the uprights.
Now, you know as soon as that ball's hit, one, if it's hit solid, and two, if it's good. You can tell just the way that ball comes out of there, by the thud, or whatever you call it.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Tracy Ham to Michael Soles. Out of bounds at about the 39.
Four-man rush, drop the linebackers, force him to throw it underneath. A guy like Michael Soles, as we said, was an outstanding running back at McGill, but he's not the guy that Reggie Taylor is. Taylor could turn that up and make you miss, but give him 4.5 yards with it and try to stop this down.
Between the 39 and the 40, calling it 2nd and 5. Incomplete. Larry Willis was the target. Junior Thurman was the defender.
Got the man-to-man coverage with blitz coming to the left side. Matt Finley came. Larry Willis gets single coverage. The ball is a little bit behind him, and that's why he takes this hit from Junior Thurman. He just when you turn that body, take a look at it. Watch when the ball's going to be behind him. He has to turn and face in right here. Now he takes the hit, even though he didn't catch it. The hit was in bounds and knocked him clear out of bounds. But you still got to catch that football. You're going to get hit anyway. You might as well catch it.
Matic from the 25-yard, or McAreedy, I should say, from the 25-yard line on 3rd and 5. This game similar to that Eastern final. Winnipeg was leading Toronto at one point by a score of 9-3. That's the score here. Calgary in front of Edmonton. Obviously, Crawford wasn't shaken up too badly as he was out there to return this 3rd down punt and bring it back to the 34-yard line.
Well, he's coming out. He's not going to play offense this series. He's going to come out of the game. Maybe keep gathering his thoughts, make sure everything's clear. He's walking off. He'll go with, looks like Pee Wee Smith in there.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 34. Alan Pitts wide to the left. Pee Wee Smith out to the right. Actually, 3 receivers wide to the right. Quick look-in pattern. Sean Beals is having a horrible afternoon.
He's got to be ready. I mean, when you get one-on-one coverage with no linebacker inside and you get that step, you're going to throw it right at the belt buckle so you don't get that hard hit. But he's just not ready for the football when Barrett's throwing it.
Beals was on the practice roster this year for the first 8 games. He was activated on September 3rd. Second and 10. Way over the head of Alan Pitts.
And probably a good thing. Thrown a little bit late. You throw the ball that late. Keith Gooch, if that ball's on the money, he's got a shot at intercepting it. So probably just as well he threw it high and long. Watch him. See, you're rolling to your left. He's only breaking that at about 12 yards. Quarterback can't sprint to his left and get it there that quick. So that's why it's thrown late. That's why Gooch has a shot at it.
10:46 remaining in the half. 9-3. Calgary leading Edmonton in this Western final. The Gizmo stopped in his tracks. Good downfield tackle by Mark Singer. And that's where the Edmonton Eskimos will scrimmage when we return. Special teams are always a key at playoff time, and Mark Singer, who primarily is a member only of special teams, is downfield to make the tackle.
Second-round draft choice. Leading tackler, not solo tackler. Wicklum was. But in overall totals, he had 51 tackles on special teams. He's earned his spot on the roster just with that.
Ham dumps it off over the middle. Blake Marshall will be very close to a first down.
This is what Tracy Ham has to do. He has to allow that zone to drop deep and then dump underneath to the backs. Don't try to force it in. See, they're coming again. Only 4 men. Kent Warnick's shoving back, and then he gets some help. Pierre Vercheval comes from that left guard position and drops him. But then all you do is just drop it underneath the Blake Marshall.
Are you surprised that we haven't seen Tracy Ham run at all so far in this game?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not so sure he has found a place to run. He's going to pick his spots, but I think he's going to have to before long.
Calgary stacks it up on second down. They're claiming they popped it loose and recovered.
I don't think they're going to get the football, but I don't think they made the first down. But that's a heck of a defensive stand. Looks like Ballard coming down hard from the inside, and also Pee-wee Herman Smith. I'm sorry. Watch him coming from the top of the screen. Ballard right there, 79. Herman Smith comes in and finishes them off, and they don't gain enough to gamble on third down. They're going to have to punt it.
Joe Clossy, originally a defensive end, made the switch to linebacker, and he claims he likes playing that linebacking position. Gets more contact that way.
A lot of contact in the 225 pounds, good speed. He's got the speed to chase receivers, and that's very important for a linebacker in this league now.
McAreedy will punt from the 27-yard line. Crawford waits for it at the 18. Penalty flag in the play as Crawford is tripped up by McAreedy at midfield, but there was a penalty flag back at the 25-yard line. And this one almost certainly will bring it back.
Yeah, Blake Marshall was either tripped or blocked from behind, and he got up and he laughed at the Stampeders, and he just pointed to the flag. That's too bad because it was a great return by Derek Crawford.
It's interesting that these two teams have the premier punt returners in the CFL, and they were teammates at one time in Memphis.
Legal block, Calgary number 78, first down.
Now that is surprising that they actually played together. Harold Hasselback right here. Blake Marshall gets pushed, gets shoved, and that brings the flag, and it takes them right out of great field position. Now they got the huddle in the end zone, so to speak.
The ball at the 16, first and 10. 8:41 remaining in the half. Barrett throws to the sidelines. Pitts makes the catch, but he was out of bounds.
The first foot that hit the ground after he caught the football was out of bounds. Therefore, it's no good. The second foot, it looked like may have hit in bounds. No good.
Most of Barrett's throws have been a little high today.
A little bit high. He's got to just kind of relax a little bit. Maybe he needs to relax, get some kind of rhythm. You know, you feel good once you start hitting passes. Maybe he's not hitting enough of them to get feeling happy with himself.
Second and 10 from the 16. Barrett going to the other side, and it is Pee-wee Smith taking it out of bounds for a first down. That one came dangerously close, going for 6 the other way as Mark Mathis was trying to make an interception.
That's a misread on the quarterback. Down, break to the sideline, but watch this. Look at Mathis. If that ball's not thrown high, we're going to have a touchdown for Mark Mathis, who is playing the corner now in the place of Andre Francis. But Pee-wee Smith makes the catch. They get away with it.
Alan Pitts makes the catch up at the 40-yard line. That should be another first down.
Well, you know, Pitts went downfield 16 yards with his speed, and Danny rolling to his left. He can go 20 yards. Watch him here. He goes down the field, driving deep. Now, come on back to the sidelines, and I'll throw it at you. You'll see Keith Gooch show up, but too late. You know, that's a good pattern. You get the separation when you plant and come away from that defender.
When Calgary captured first place in the final game of the regular season, Barrett had success throwing to his outside receivers. Barrett to Sapunjas. He gets away from McLean and fights his way up to the 48-yard line for a gain of about 8.
I don't know if that was a design screen to Sapunjas or not. The outside receivers were blocking downfield. So if it's anything, it has to be a screen because everybody, no one, watch downfield to the right. See, Lloyd Fairbanks is blocking, but look up at the top. They're blocking also. They set the screen under Sapunjas, but he just isn't able. Second down and 2.
Leroy Blue dumped Barrett at the conclusion of that play, but the ball was already gone.
Michelle Borjo. Woo. he just dumps McVeigh, I think. McVeigh tries to dive straight ahead and cut to the backside. At 94, Michel Bourgeot just nails it.
On second and short, the Eskimos failed to pick up yardage. On second and short, the Stampeders failed to pick up yardage, an indication of what a defensive struggle this game has been so far.
Yeah, it's a defense-oriented game. We said before it started, that's what it would come down to, controlling the other team's quarterback, not allowing to run. We've only seen Barrett run once and Ham none, so they're doing what they started out to do.
High punt. Williams waits for it. And he manages to get out to the 35-yard line. That's where Edmonton will scrimmage 1st and 10 with 6:16 remaining in the half.
National tradition, November 25th, the Grey Cup on CBC.
The Eskimo defense already weakened by the loss of Jeff Braswell, even weaker now with Andre Francis on the corner. He's leaving the game to go to the locker room because he's dislocated the thumb on his right hand. He's got a big ice pack on it. He said to me, I can't jam, I can't intercept, and that's my game. And obviously, he will not be back in the first half, Don.
And one would have to assume that he might not be back for the balance of the football game. Mitchell Price made the initial hit on Blake Marshall.
You know, you wonder how the Calgary Stampeders are taking Johnson and Ballard really wide on their alignment. There's a big hole right there, and that's the first time now that they have actually tried to run Blake Marshall or Scholes right through that opening. Let's see if they get this time. See how close the tackles are inside? The ends are outside the other guy. There's big holes in there.
2nd and 6. Keith Wright has a first down. Are they throwing a pass in the direction of Craig Ellis so far this afternoon?
Not one. Can't find him out there. I don't know where he is. We know he's there, but they have not gone to him at all, and that's very surprising. I know every team tries to put in a little bit to take Ellis out, but they're just playing his own defense down there, and Tracy's not going to him.
106 regular season receptions, and he had great success this year in games against the Calgary Stampeders, but so far they haven't thrown to him. Keith Wright again for another first down.
Good read by Tracy Ham. The corner, Junior Thurman's dropping deep into the zone. That means number 7, Darrell Hall's inside. All you do is look at Hall. If he stays where he is, you go to the wide receiver. In that case, Keith Wright down and out, wide open.
4:56 remaining in the half. 9-3, the Stampeders lead. 1st and 10. Edmonton at the 40 of Calgary. Marco Sincar takes that quick toss. Henry Smith grabbed him almost immediately, but not before he had picked up about 6 or maybe 7 yards. We saw the hit earlier on Derek Crawford, and his play is going to be restricted, it would appear, to special teams. He has the ice pack on the back of his neck. Jeff Braswell has already switched to civvies, and he has that ice pack strapped to his left ankle, so he is out for the balance of this game. Mike McLean is taking his spot at the linebacking position for the Eskimos. 2nd and 2. Blake Marshall gets the first down inside the 30.
Pretty good job of coming off and just making contact and allow Marshall to get that 230 pounds moving forward. Andrew McConnell made a key block for him, and he cut right in behind it.
We talked about Craig Ellis earlier. He's the type of player who wants the football during the course of the game.
I'll tell you something else about him. If he's not getting it, he's going to let you know on the sideline. You know, all good receivers don't feel they can be covered, and he's one of those.
Tracy Ham is going to run for the first time, and he might score.
Well, we were concerned about him. You know, you said he hadn't run yet. We said he picked a spot. He couldn't have picked a better one. Boy, when that hole opened up the middle, he was gone. No problem at all. 29-yard touchdown.
So far, the Stampeders have done a pretty good job of keeping Ham in the pocket, but that time it opened up. He couldn't find a receiver, and he was gone.
You saw him just step to his left. You saw the tackles get blocked inside, and we said the ends are already wide. There's going to be a big hole there. He found it, and as you say, you could tell he had a shot at scoring from about 15 yards out.
And the point after by McAreedy. This game continues to very closely resemble that Eastern final Winnipeg led Toronto by a score of 9-3. The Argos scored a touchdown to take a 10-9 lead. It's now 10-9 here at McMahon Stadium for the Eskimos.
Wow, we'll get a good look at it now. All right, what's going to happen? All the red jerseys are at the top. The defensive end is blocked outside. There's nobody here. This is when you said he had a chance to score. He stepped outside Junior Thurman, and by the time Greg Peterson could get there, it's too late.
The outstanding player in the Canadian Football League last year. And with his first run in this Western final, the leading rusher in the West scores a 29-yard touchdown to put the Eskimos in front. Tony Cherry continues to fight and gets back to the 49.
Try to hit that ball hard on the ground and get it to bounce crazy. But the big thing was Cherry made the pickup. Hey, no one's ever going to complain when you start out at around the 50-yard line, especially not Danny Barrett.
With the exceptional talent both teams have on their kickoff return squads, it's rare that they don't start a first down series around the 40-yard line or better.
That's right. That's why they play the short field, so to speak. The return teams do such a good job of getting it out there. We don't have as far to go.
Couple of good fakes by Barrett. He rolls to the outside. McVay is out there blocking for him, and Barrett is going to run. Both quarterbacks are certainly capable of taking off. We saw Tracy Ham score a touchdown. Danny Barrett comes back with a good gallop for a first down for Calgary with 2:54 remaining in the half, and the Eskimos ahead by 1. That was an 18-yard run. Stuart Hill on the sidelines as defensive line coach Urban Bowman talks with head coach Joe Farragelli about what happened on that previous play where Danny Barrett ran for 18 yards and a first down.
It wasn't hard. He broke containment. The end let him outside, and then McVay was out there to block for him, and he just ran.
Barrett is going to throw deep for Smith. No, he can't hang on. That's 2 that have been dropped by the Stampeders. First it was Beals in the end zone, and now Pee Wee Smith.
Well, it's hard to believe. Pee Wee Smith comes from that wide receiver spot. Watch him go. Watch him. There's nothing fancy here. It's just how fast can I run? And Gooch, can you stay with me? Not a chance. That ball is right. Look at it. In the hands and out of the hands. I don't know. I don't know what you do. Not much you can do about it, Danny.
2:38 remaining in the half. 2nd and 10 Calgary. Alan Pitts makes the catch. Brought down at the 12.
I'll tell you what, when you run deep on a defensive back, he is afraid. Like Keith Gooch was beaten for a touchdown. Smith dropped the ball. Come right back at him. This time Pitts goes down the field. He turns and runs. You break right underneath him and make the catch. Just think, one play ago, he was gone. Now watch this. You can't even find him. Look at the separation. Throw it on the money, and now they have to come and make the tackle. But when you go by a guy, it scares him.
Well, the Eskimos have been forced to make some adjustments with the injury to Andre Francis. Mark Mathis has moved to the corner. Shelton into that halfback position. Toss into the end zone, knocked away. Good recovery over there by Mathis to get a hand on it. I don't believe the intended receiver would have been able to stay in bounds regardless.
Now, it's excellent job on the coverage by Mark Mathis. Come up inside out on the receiver. Watch him. All right, he takes the hit. There it is. Now, get away from him. Keeps his head inside, keeps his eyes on the ball, and goes and knocks it away. That's good defense.
Very clearly, you saw that Pee Wee Smith would have come down out of bounds anyway, but Mathis wasn't about to take any chances. He knocked the pass away. It's 2nd and 10 from the 12-yard line. 2:13 remaining in the half. Calgary trailing by a score of 10-9. This one is intercepted by Danny Bass. So just when it appeared as though the Calgary Stampeders were going to be in position to perhaps take a halftime lead to the dressing room, Danny Bass picks off a Danny Barrett pass and returns it to the 30-yard line.
They cross the wide receivers. A slant by the wide one and into the flat by the slot back. Danny Barrett looks, but watch Danny Bass running to his left. You saw the receiver, Bass steps in front of it. He read Danny Barrett's eyes as soon as that ball was snapped. Barrett looked to his left, and he just took off and got underneath the post. That's tough by a number 30.
And the coaches tell me there aren't many linebackers who read plays better than Danny Bass.
Probably right now, none. I mean, his experience factor is so important.
This one is intercepted by McCrary. So the Stampeders get it right back.
The thing we've learned from the last two plays, don't throw late in the middle. When you throw it late in the middle, you're asking to get it intercepted. And Tracy Ham took his time and then floated it down there, and bang, Calgary gets it back.
1:56 remaining in the half.
Watch, he looks around. Now he's just going to try to loft it over top. All right, he got it over top of Finley, but there's McCrary waiting on it. So Stampeders have a chance now to get some points. Still about 2 minutes left.
That's only the second time in 4 regular season meetings in this playoff encounter that the Stampeders have intercepted the Edmonton quarterback, primarily Tracy Ham. End zone throw, incomplete. It was intended for Pee Wee Smith again.
See, what we have is Pee Wee Smith is about 6'2" and 180 pounds. Mark Mathis is 5'9". On this particular pattern, all Danny Barrett wants to do is a little play action fake to hold him, then throw it high and far. He's just going to throw it out there and hope that if we get a jump ball like in basketball, that he can come down with it.
Mark Norman, the safety, coming back to try to get in on the coverage, but Mathis had done the job on Pee Wee Smith.
Mathis has done it so far every time he's been asked to.
2nd and 10. Marshall Toner takes the hit over the middle from Larry Ruck. A couple of Saskatchewan alumnus, Ruck playing with the junior Hilltops, Marshall Toner with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies.
Yeah, we had a nice talk with Toner this morning. We congratulate the University of Saskatchewan Huskies for a repeat performance. They're going back to Toronto, but St. Mary's comes in from the East Coast. What a heck of a football game those were yesterday. I had a chance to watch most of them. They were great.
So Mark McLaughlin will be attempting a 45-yard field goal, trying to put the Stampeders ahead. And he does.
Oh, there's no doubt it's 45 yards away. He's still in that 40 to 45, 49-yard range. He doesn't miss.
1:23 remaining in the half. And it's a 12-10 Stampeder lead over the Eskimos. During his CFL career, he has attempted 61 field goals from that 40 to 49-yard range and made 34 of them. That's a good percentage from that distance.
Very accurate. I mean, when they clear, if he hits it right, it's going deep into the end zone.
Tracy Ham can't find a receiver. Now he looks deep. Todd Smith makes the catch. There's a penalty flag on the play as well.
Yeah, we're going to get an interference call on number 7, Darrell Hall. When Tracy Ham stepped inside like he was going to run, Ballard came back, so he just drifted right back and laid it down the field. Nice play by Tracy Ham.
So very quickly, the Eskimos move into position with 1:13 remaining in the half, trailing by 2 points, a 47-yard gain.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 7 declined.
I don't think there was much doubt that was going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know why they even bothered about it. You catch the ball down there, they had more yardage because he caught it and ran with it.
From the 28, it's 1st and 10, Edmonton. Ham is looking into the corner of the end zone. Good coverage back there on Larry Willis by Junior Thurman.
You know, we talk a lot of times, Don, about covering one-on-one. Junior Thurman was just in front of Larry Willis. But what made him turn around, Larry Willis turns his head and looks up for the ball and raises that hand. And as soon as he did that, Thurman turns around and locates the ball and knocks it away. I mean, you don't look at the ball, you read his eyes. And when those eyes get big, you turn around and get the ball. That's good coverage.
You have to wonder if this might be the time they'll go to Craig Ellis for the first time today.
I don't know. This is really strange, isn't it?
Penalty flag. Over the head of Todd Smith in the end zone, but there was movement at the line of scrimmage. So Procedure or offside? We'll wait for the officials to sort it out. Ken Lazaruk, the man in charge today. Offside against Calgary. So it's now 2nd and 5. The ball is at the 23. Wally Buono.
Calgary 93, 2nd down.
Kent Warnock had moved prematurely. Wally Buono signaling for a timeout. And he gets it.
Usually we see the coach of the team that has the football call the timeout. And you look at the clock at 56 seconds, but I don't know. Wally's the defensive coach. He's going to talk it over. He's going to tell him what he wants to do to stop this play.
And of course, as a linebacker during his playing career, he obviously has some thoughts about what Matt Finlay should be doing on this upcoming sequence of plays.
Either what Finlay should be doing, or he's going to get the message to whoever he wants. But you don't call a guy over there if you don't have something to say.
And of course, Joe Farragelli had the opportunity to talk with Tracy Ham. Penalty means it's 2nd and 5. Ham is caught from behind by Will Johnson.
Now Trevor Bowles is all upset because it's his man that sacked him. But that's not Trevor Bowles' fault. Tracy Ham had a lot of time to throw the football. The Calgary Stampeders do a great job downfield in covering, so that is a coverage sack. Will Johnson was blocked long enough, but eventually he's going to get free. You can't keep him out forever. See, he's going to run. Now Johnson's free. There's the sack. But he had time to throw it. That's just good defense by the Stampeders, so whatever Buono had to say, it worked.
This will be a 37-yard field goal attempt by McAreedy with 38 seconds remaining in the half. It's good. And the Eskimos regain their 1-point lead with the clock now down to 29 seconds left in the opening half of the Western Final here at McMahon Stadium.
That's going to be a little surprised to see if they're going to have him kick off or take it on the 35.
Remember, on Live at the Half, we'll be hearing from Winnipeg. And the victorious Blue Bombers of this afternoon defeated the Toronto Argonauts 20-17 to advance to the Grey Cup next Sunday in Vancouver. We'll also have highlights of that Eastern Final. Scott Oake will be talking with Winnipeg quarterback Tom Burgess, who is standing by in Winnipeg. Head coach Mike Riley is also waiting.
You don't think Tom will be really happy, do you? Goes into Winnipeg the first year, leads to a Grey Cup. He'll be pretty pleased.
Back-to-back Grey Cup appearances for Tom Burgess. Last year, of course, with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He didn't play.
I think he'll play in this one.
I think so. Hopkins on this kickoff return. Fumbles the football.
Michael Souls has it.
Michael Souls comes up with it with 18 seconds remaining.
That's a great return by Hopkins, but you know, he was trying to make the big play. He got outstanding blocking to get to the sideline, and instead of going out of bounds, he stops and comes back in. And then he gets hit from behind, and that ball is fumbled.
A 39-yard return. Hopkins on September 4th against Winnipeg returned a missed field goal, 128 yards.
See right here, it's a great job. He should have just maybe run out of bounds. It's easy for me to say that. I'm up here, but he wanted to break it for the distance, and he was going to try to come inside and go, and it's too bad he fumbled the football, but that happens.
Calgary had hopes of perhaps getting in position to kick a field goal themselves before the half ended. Now that opportunity is provided for Edmonton. Mitchell Price won't let Tracy Ham get away.
Wow, we talk in the opening again. Mitchell Price doesn't get very many sacks. He usually plays the run, but if you get good upfield pressure. All right, here they come. Warnock's going upfield. The ends are upfield now. Ham wants to run. Mitchell Price gets off of the block. He makes the sack.
He actually lost a yard in the play. 2nd and 11. This could be the final play of the half. Tracy Ham can't find a receiver. The clock has run down, and Tracy Ham is tracked down by Mitchell Price. There are no penalty flags, and that is the final play of the first half here at McMahon Stadium. with the Eskimos leading the Stampeders 13-12. Scott?
John, I'm with Wally Bono. Wally, your team is very much in this game, but it could be a different story, save for a couple of drop passes. Have you been thinking about those?
No, actually, we haven't. It's been back and forth, just like pretty much we expected, and we knew it was going to be a tough, tight ball game, and we're right where we want to be.
You've done a good job for the most part of containing Tracy Ham. You must be happy with that, except for the one in which he got away.
Well, again, they were spreading us out, and we had a dog on, and he got away, but that's part of the game, and we'll be back in the second half.
Good luck in the second half. Eskimos lead by 1 at the half in this West final at McMahon Stadium. Live at the half is next. It is the Eskimos 13, the Calgary Stampeders 12 at the half, and we welcome you to Live at the Half from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Eskimos head coach Joe Farraghelli, I would think, for the most part, is pleased with the performance of the defense in this game.
Well, I think the defense has played extremely well. Kept them to 132 total yards, and we got over 200. I think what hurt us is the couple of penalties early in the game and a couple of returns on the kickoffs and punts that gave them field position to get some field goals. They haven't scored a major. They got 4 field goals.
All right, thank you, Joe. Good luck in the second half of this game, and go spend some time with your team. I know you have to. Well, we're 30 minutes away from a decision on whether it's Calgary or Edmonton in the Grey Cup against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who about an hour and a half ago in Winnipeg earned their berth with a 2017 victory over the Argos. Came down to the last 18 seconds at Winnipeg Stadium. It was tied at 17. The Bombers had the ball at midfield. Tom Burgess kept it, and the Bomber quarterback put his team in the score zone. This was the major play of the game because it put the Bombers in field goal range. Burgess scrambling for a big gain. Then on came Trevor Kennard to boot the 3 biggest points of his career, perhaps, and he made the field goal. The Bombers won 2017. They're in the Grey Cup for the second time in 3 years. And now we are joined live from Winnipeg Stadium by the winning quarterback, Tom Burgess. And Tom, I was struck by the fact that you were in the Grey Cup a year ago with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Did not get a chance to play. I suspect you might get a chance to play this time.
I suspect that. It's a good feeling. It's the goal that I set after trying to get traded last year. I wanted to get in a situation where I could win the #1 job and be back at the Grey Cup and play. It's a special feeling playing the Grey Cup or watching the Grey Cup even, and I knew I wanted to get back there and play in it.
Tom, there's a lot of talk about your defense heading into this game today, but the Argo defense was tough today. They didn't make it easy for you.
Well, we'd have a tough time against Toronto. Every game we've played and getting the ball in the end zone. You know, we move the ball. We have good up-front people. We feel we can out-physical them and run the football on them. We do that every time, but it just seems when we get in that scoring area, we struggle, and they do a great job against us in that area. And thank God we have the defense we do because they keep us in the game and they give us enough opportunities to take advantage. What were you doing scrambling up the middle late in the game? Could you see that airline ticket to Vancouver for next week? I was having fun, I'll tell you that. It happens quite a bit where the defense kind of stunts around and a hole opens up in a drop-back pass situation. But normally you get 5 or 10 with that. But the coverage that they were in, everybody was in a man situation where they had 2 guys in deep in the field and had outcuts with every receiver. I had a post corner with the slots and outs with the wide receivers. And that took everybody with them with their backs turned to the middle of the field. And when the hole opened up throughout the line, I knew I could get 10 yards for the first down, which is what we needed, and then another 20 just kind of came at my astonishment. Well, we're seeing the run again, Tom. Now, just one final point here. Have you got a preference on who you face in the Grey Cup, Calgary or Edmonton? My only preference is Winnipeg being in the Grey Cup. I don't care who else is in it. And in large part because of that run, you are in the Grey Cup. Congratulations to you, Tom Burgess. Enjoy this victory, and we'll see you in Vancouver next week. Okay. Stay with us when Live at the Half returns to McMahon Stadium. We'll talk to Mike Riley. Welcome back to Live at the Half at McMahon Stadium. It is the Edmonton Eskimos by 1 at the half in this West Final against the Calgary Stampeders. And let's go right back to Winnipeg Stadium, where Mike Riley, the head coach of the victorious Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the East Division Final, standing by to talk to us live. Still celebrating his 2017 win over the Argos today that has put his team in the Grey Cup. Mike, your team smothered the Argos on 4 separate occasions during the regular schedule. Based on the form chart, not many people would have thought this East Division Final would come down to a field goal.
No, I disagree with that as far as how the games have gone, though, Scott. We have had tough games with the Argos. The first one might have been pretty good because we had all those interceptions, but in 3 out of the 5 wins, we had to come from behind to win. And it was another typically tough game for us. They do a fine job, and you have to appreciate the way they played today, and we were fortunate just to get to play at the end to win.
Say a word about your kicker. Would you say these were the 3 biggest points of his career to put you in the Grey Cup?
Right, I think that we should all remember this now for Trevor, because everybody remembered the kicks in the Eastern Final last year, and he had a tremendous day today for us and made a major difference in the game, and of course the game winner at the end was very exciting for him, and very pleased for him.
Mike, you look back to 6 months ago before the regular schedule began. Many people had your team picked to finish dead last in the East Division. Based on that, you've got to feel especially good about what you've done today and to be in the Grey Cup.
Oh, we're really excited about that. You know, I think that has a tendency maybe to draw people together, and especially good people and good players. And what they did was really formed a great team. I've never been prouder to be associated with a group of people than this one. And, you know, our coaches and players stuck together, and we won a lot of tough games. This is pretty typical Bomber win here today.
I know you haven't had a chance to watch any of this West Division final between Edmonton and Calgary, but take it from me, these 2 teams are beating each other up. Who do you want to play next week in Vancouver?
Well, we're just glad to be there, of course, and we've had tough games with both of those teams this year, so whoever it is going to be tough, and we're just anxious to see who comes out of it.
All right, Mike, and we'll see you in Vancouver. Congratulations on your win today.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
So the Bombers are in the Grey Cup 1 week today in Vancouver, and here at McMahon Stadium, we're in the process of deciding who the other half of the entry will be. Don and Ron, I don't think it'd be wise to give odds on anybody right now.
Certainly not, Scott, with a 1-point difference. The Eskimos leading the Stampeders. Ron, it looked as though late in the ball game, the Stampeders were going to move into position to perhaps go ahead at halftime, but Danny Bass, as he most often does, comes up with a big play.
Well, the Stampeders have deserved a little better fate with 2 drop passes for touchdowns. But as you say, they're threatening. They are moving down inside. Now, we said on the telecast, the 2 biggest things to look at on this play, watch the head of Danny Barrett and watch Danny Bass at that middle linebacker position on the right side. We always said all year, you may read the defense as a quarterback, but the defense reads you. And look at Danny Bass looking at Danny Barrett's head. Now, Danny Barrett's going to take the snap, and his head goes directly to the left. Watch Danny Bass take off. Now, that is a long way for a middle linebacker to run on a 3-step drop by a quarterback. He snuffs out the drive by the Stampeders, gets them out into good field position. You don't do it any better.
Tracy Ham has scored the game's only touchdown. The first time he ran in the ball game, he went 29 yards for a major score.
Look at all the red jerseys at the top of the screen, and look at the hole that Tracy Ham has. Now it's just a matter of him and using his ability, and we all know he can run. Look at this. Just steps around Junior Thurman. By the time Greg Peterson gets there, it's too late. He's in the end zone, and that is probably the difference in the ball game. Tracy Ham's run and Danny Bass's play.
And how about the 2 drop passes by Beals and Pee Wee Smith?
That's why I said they deserved a little better fate, but as the game come down to it, those 2 plays are the difference in this score.
The Edmonton Eskimos lead the Stampeders 13-12 as we prepare to start the second half here at McMahon Stadium.
The CFL on CBC. An exclusive presentation of Miller Lite. Goes down great among friends. By Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL. And by Diet 7-Up. Challenge your taste.
Welcome back to McMahon Stadium in Calgary, and Shannon Powell in Ottawa as you celebrate your 9th birthday. Your father, Kevin Powell, asked us to wish you a happy birthday. And Ron, you've got a birthday greeting to pass along as well.
Yeah,
almost forgot about it again, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I don't want to miss it. You know, you get in trouble when you do things like that, Don. And this is my daughter's birthday, November 18th. So
she's a little older than 9.
Yeah, just over 9.
So we say happy birthday to Lana in Regina. The ball is fumbled on the kickoff return, but the Eskimos, I believe, get it back. A 20-yard run back, and Larry Rock was very alert, pouncing on that loose football at the 35-yard line. Statistically, in the first half, the Eskimos had more offense, 194 yards to 124. Both teams guilty of 2 turnovers. The game as even statistically as it is on the scoreboard.
It's the defensive battle we anticipated, Don, so something's got to open up here shortly.
1st and 10 from the 35. Deep for Todd Smith. They've worked that play successfully twice. On the left side of the field, this time to the right, down to the 35-yard line. A gain of 40 yards, 47 on the previous toss to Smith.
3 receivers to Tracy Ham's left. That gets Greg Peterson out of the middle. He gets that one-on-one coverage. McCrary on Todd Smith, no contest. McCrary, he couldn't react when he looked for the football because he was too far away. That's why it was an easy catch. This is a little surprising. 55% of the passes to the wide receivers. The Eskimos usually like to work with Craig Ellis. They haven't thrown to him all day.
Not one pass has gone in his direction so far. He had 106 during the season. That time, Marco Sincar, the slot back, was the intended target.
Craig Ellis just went out into the flat to create the opening to try to hit the throw behind him, and it's a little bit surprising. He'll be doing some talking. Well, all he's going to do is go out into the flat. All right, all he's going to do is try to pull a defender with him and then throw in behind him. But he has not caught a football yet, and that's a little bit surprising.
2nd and 10 from the 35. Calgary indicating they're going to blitz. It's picked up. Pass is incomplete, intended for Sincar again.
Good job by Henry Smith. We saw number 24, Greg Peterson, that safety man, sneaking up inside. He came on the blitz. Henry Smith takes the little dump look-in pattern away.
3rd and 10.
All right, there's 24. That's the safety man. Now that means the linebacker has to pick up that 3rd receiver. In this case, it was Sincar, and he does a good job.
Blake Marshall did a good job of picking up that blitz by Peterson. As a matter of fact, he really flattened him with a block.
Well, when you don't bring the linebacker from that side, Marshall has no one to block, so there's a heck of a size difference.
McAreedy's field goal attempt is good, and the Eskimos increase their advantage to 4 points with 13-14 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Remember that Canadian professional football is now offered on Pro Line from Sports Select. Make your play of the day today at any Sports Select lottery booth.
Gary Crawford and Ron Hopkins are moving back into position. A crowd of in excess of 30,000 watching this Western final. They had hoped to set a record for a playoff game in Calgary this afternoon. Previous mark was just over 31,000. And with advance ticket sales of better than 30,000 coming into the park, they hoped that they would easily break that with a walk-up of about 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Well, I think they're over 30. I don't know if they got to 34 or 5, but I would say they're over 30,000. I don't think there's much doubt about that.
Ron Hopkins starts out from the 20-yard line. Good coverage downfield. He was spilled by Mike McLean.
That was an excellent job of covering by Mike McLean. What that Calgary Stampede tries to do is to block him one side or the other. McLean didn't go for it. He just lowered his head, took the blocker on, and makes the tackle.
Calgary has also had a preference for throwing to the wideouts today. The problem has been they haven't been catching the ball.
Boy, they've hit him a couple times.
Tony Cherry is hit. He was punished by a couple of people, but he's up very quickly. Danny Bass
Tony
is in on
Cherry,
the
the ball
stop.
carrier, no gain.
Well, you're going to try to block down on Mike Walker. That means Fairbanks is going to come down and block Walker, and they'll pull Mike Colombo around. No chance. No chance. Walker's too quick.
Second and 10. Crawford underthrown. He was covered by Mathis over on the sidelines, and it's 2 and out for the Calgary Stampeders.
3rd down, Stampeders.
Trailing by 4 here in the 3rd quarter in the early stages of this second half.
He threw it on time. He just threw it low. Just when Crawford made the break to the outside, the ball was in the air, but it was just too low.
Madich has averaged 4.8 yards more than his Edmonton counterpart in the punting department so far. Todd Smith and the Gizmo are back to accept this 3rd down kick. It takes the bounce and is picked up on the far side of the field by Gizmo, but it's out of bounds at the 31-yard line, and that's where Edmonton will scrimmage when we return to McMahon. All the excitement of Grey Cup Week in Vancouver will come your way on CBC television, beginning with the Player Awards on Thursday night. Ron Lancaster and Brian Williams will bring you that show. Then the Grey Cup Parade with Chris Cuthbert on Saturday. And, of course, the Grey Cup game itself beginning at 4 Eastern Time on Sunday afternoon. First and 10 from the 31-yard line. Ham to Todd Smith. The first down up at the 50.
Ham's doing a good job. The offensive line, when they only bring 4, that offensive line is going to give him time to throw, and they gave it to him. And what happens is, I was going to take a look. Now, watch Blake Marshall. Now, he comes right out in front of the linebacker. That holds the linebacker, and Ham throws it right over Finley's head into the hole to Todd Smith. It's a good job by the quarterback. Good job of blocking up front.
First and 10 from the 50. Ham is caught by Will Johnson. He picked up a couple of yards.
Defensive linemen get upfield. He ends upfield, and the tackles try to stay in their lane. Try to stay in the lane so that they can keep that quarterback pinched to the inside. All right, now, Will Johnson's got the speed that when Tracy Ham has to run, he's able to pull him down and limit the gain to about, I can't even see it. Where is it? 1 yard. That's a pretty good job, man, if you can stop him for 1 yard.
Second and 9. The ball is at the 51. Over the middle to Blake Marshall. He's got a first down.
All right, we've seen Blake Marshall check come up in the middle. Check come up in the middle. This time they send Joe Clausey from the middle linebacker on a blitz. And when Marshall goes in there, there's nobody at home. All you do is throw him the ball. Good job by, again, Tracy Ham. All right, watch. See number 60 running to the left. Now, when they throw the ball, that's where Clausey usually is. No one's there to pick him up.
Pierre Versaville did a good job to come over to pick up Clausey.
Excellent job. That's all you need to do is buy the time. Ham sees him coming. He'll get rid of it.
Todd Smith again, very close to another first down at the 37.
Tracy Ham's being very patient today. Normally he'll take off. He steps up in that pocket, looks around, finally finds a receiver and throws it to him.
Well, you can have faith, but you have to catch the football as well. And twice, the Calgary Stampeders have dropped touchdown passes in the end zone.
Oh, that's surprising. You know, I mean, we saw Sapundra come around, throw a pass, and wide open in the end zone. We get a drop. We see Danny Barrett throw it perfect on the money, and we get another drop.
It's short of a first down. Wally Buono sending in a signal defensively. 9:58 remaining in this third quarter. Edmonton leading by 4. 16-12 is the score. And under the direction of Tracy Ham, they've been moving the ball well on this drive. Second and short. Ham will keep and get the first down, diving through to the 35-yard line. We've just received the official attendance count, 31,923, and that is a playoff record for McMahon Stadium in Calgary.
And I think, you know, when you're only 77 short, if we said 32,000, that'd be close enough, wouldn't it?
I think so. I don't think we'll be chastised for missing out by only 77. Tracy Ham has some room down the sidelines. He got a block, but Ron Hopkins was able to get back and force him out of bounds. But he is down to the 12-yard line.
All right, watch this. You said Versaville before, but watch McConnell, 55. He comes from the right guard position across, and he picks up the blitz and Joe Clausey. And Ham gets outside and does what he does best, and that's get his yards and get out of bounds and don't take any hits. Prairie's doing a good job. I'm sorry, this time it's Darrell Hall doing a good job for him.
9 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Tracy Ham's end zone pass incomplete. Craig Ellis got tangled up with Thurman and Peterson, and that's the first time a pass has even been thrown in his direction today.
Yeah, he wants an interference call, but I don't really think he can call it here. Watch him. Henry Smith has him short. Now, see, Thurman is watching number 71 right, and he runs into him. You know, you can't call Thurman for interference. He's guarding his man. Ellis ran into him.
2nd and 10. The ball between the 11 and 12-yard line. 3 receivers wide to the left. Hornet coming up the middle, but it's dumped off to Scholes. He'll score. Kent Warnock had a clear pass to Tracy Ham, but he got it away before the big defensive tackle could get there, and he had Michael Scholes wide open over the middle.
And that's the reason why Scholes is open, is because they were going to get to Tracy Ham, but a quarterback knows on this kind of a play he's going to get hit. Watch it. Blake Marshall is out to the left, just runs away from Clausey, catches the football. Clausey has no chance to catch him. If the quarterback knows the blitz is coming and he knows who's free, you won't hurt the quarterback. It's the blindsider that hurts you.
And with the point after by McElready, the Edmonton Eskimos have moved into a 23-12 lead. We'll be back with the Edmonton kickoff after.
To hit people. If I had to give one of them up, I'd say no.
BC, 64% of football fans tested prefer the taste of Diet 7-Up over Diet Coke.
I'm really very nice.
The former Vanier Cup MVP with McGill, Michael Scholes, putting the capper on that 79-yard drive with the 11-yard touchdown toss from Tracy Ham.
Saw Michael Scholes sit in there, allow Clausey to get across, and then drop deep. Then all he does is take one step and angle away from him. Drop it in his hands, and then Scholes does the rest. They cleared that side of the field out, so once Scholes caught it, there was no doubt he was going to score.
Bouncing ball picked up by Tony Cherry. He returns it to the Edmonton 48-yard line.
That's an excellent job of returning by Tony Cherry, but the pressure of this game and the whole thing's coming down to number 8, Danny Barrett. If you think about it, 8 completions, 23 attempts for 88 yards. That means you're not converting second down conversions. Therefore, you're not controlling the game. Tracy Ham's controlling this football game.
The sun slowly sinking in the west. The Stampeders are hoping that it is not shining for the last time on their 1990 football season. That hitch screen to Tony Cherry. He got a hole and gets a first down to the 35.
Boy, got a good block by Sapunjas. Dave Sapunjas made a key block for him to get up through there, because the Eskimos, they're expecting this when they see the 4 receivers now. You know, they're not stupid. They see it. But watch the throw, and the block will be just inside Tony Cherry. Right here, 25 on Enos Jackson, and Cherry almost breaks it. Good job by Dave Sapunjas.
Barrett is only 9 of 24 in the passing department. His numbers have to improve. Incomplete. Intended for Alan Pitts.
Pass intended for Alan Pitts, incomplete.
Well, I'll tell you, Danny Barrett not having good completion percentage today, but he is getting some pressure, especially from Brett Williams. We talked about him in the opening, that if you will contain him with the ends, people like Williams and Walker, they will get to you. Watch him. He stops. He's going to throw it down the sidelines. There's the hit again. Good job by Brent Williams.
And both these teams basically go after you with their front 4. They don't put a lot of blitz packages together.
No, it hasn't been much blitzing today.
Barrett finds Alan Pitts for a first down at the 25.
This is what he has to do. You know, you can throw deep on first down and try to get it, but on second down and 10, you've got to make first downs. This time, Pitts coming off with Keith Gooch. Give him a little move, little contact, if you want to call that. Stop, run the curl in route, catch it, first down. Now you got another shot. Keep the drive alive with first downs. Eventually, you get to the end zone.
6:45 remaining in the third quarter. 23-12. The Eskimos lead. Draw play. Cherry has some room. Runs into a blocker. He got tangled up with Sean Beals and was prevented from getting a first down as the Eskimos came up to make the tackle.
Yeah, that's just individual ability by Cherry here. A draw play to a back usually hits up the middle. He started into the middle. He saw Danny Bass and everybody else there. Watch. Look. The handoff to him. See, Bass is waiting on him. He just takes it outside with his quickness. Gets a pretty good block here by number 88, Pitts, and then just run.
Hasn't been a big ball game for the running backs. Quarterback Tracy Ham has been the #1 rusher in this ball game. That one was off the shoulder pads, it almost appeared, of Andy McVay. He wasn't quite turned around to accept that throw from Danny Barrett, and one of the reasons is Barrett had to hurry the throw.
Now watch the pressure on the snap. Danny Bass is right up in the line of scrimmage. They're going to come after him. Well, we don't see it, but there's Bass, number 30. Bourgeot gets the pressure. McVay leaks across, but he's got to catch the football. Now we're into 3rd down, and I think they'll kick the field goal. Try to cut it to an 8-point margin.
Mark McLaughlin will be trying a
How's he do from this
27-yard
distance?
field goal.
Where's he kicking from? 25. 90%. Uh-oh, a fake.
Now they're going to take a delay of game penalty. They didn't get that play off quickly enough.
Number 8, Calgary. Still 3rd down.
They moved up to the line and did not get the play off.
Yeah. Now, whether I would say they had a play called because either that or they was, you know, you draw them offside, doesn't do any good. You're 9 yards away. So, I mean, I just think that basic thing, they did get it called quick enough. Edmonton didn't show them the alignment early enough, so therefore they take the delay.
A 30-yard field goal try by McLaughlin. It's good. So with 5:26 remaining in the 3rd quarter, it's now an 8-point football game. The Eskimos.
A national tradition, November 25th, the Grey Cup on CBC.
Eskimo cornerback Andre Francis left this game midway through the 2nd quarter. His attire tells you he will not be back. What's the extent of the thumb injury, Andre?
Well, right now the doctors have diagnosed that it's a dislocation. They've snapped it back in, and x-rays will be taken later, but it's a lot of pain right now.
So you'd hope to be able to play next week with some sort of cast if you could?
Certainly, and hopefully the pain will subside enough for me to be able to do that.
All right, thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Scott.
Don?
Screen pass to Blake Marshall. And Blake Marshall moves it up to the 50-yard line. The momentum of this ball game has certainly shifted in the 3rd quarter. The Edmonton Eskimos have scored 10 points, and during the course of the season, the 3rd quarter has usually been their least productive.
Well, it's been productive now because they have got the Stampeders reeling. They get in that 3-receiver set. They're either dumping the ball to Marshall, they're finding a receiver over there. This time they ran the screen and had a great success. So right now things are going their way.
And when Tracy Ham can't find a receiver, he's running and picking up very close to another 1st down.
I found unique today, the Calgary coach is saying, okay, if Ham's going to run, we don't want him to be able to run out of bounds. We want to keep him on the field of play so we can hit him. So we want to hit him every time he runs. But Tracy Ham so far hasn't taken that many good hits, and that time he got down on the ground. Pretty good stats, though.
He's the leading rusher in this football game, just as he was in the West during the course of the season. 2nd and 2, Edmonton. They'll get another 1st down with Blake Marshall driving straight ahead, powering his way to the 48.
Blake Marshall's overlooked a lot of times. You know, they say, yeah, he's got 12 touchdowns rushing, but that's because he only runs from 2 yards. But if you've been paying attention to what all he's been doing today, picking up blitzes, catching screens, catching it over the middle, and then blocking the blitz, I think he's had a pretty busy day.
That's one of the reasons he was chosen to the Western All-Star team. Tracy Ham finally to Craig Ellis. He's got a 1st down.
And pass complete to Craig Ellis, tackled by Greg Peterson, a gain of 20.
The 2nd time that Ham and Ellis have attempted to hook up today, the 1st time they've been successful.
Well, Ellis has usually been the middle guy on that 3-receiver set to the wide side of the field, so he had to come a long way to get into Ham's view to catch that pass.
3:21 is the time remaining. Mitchell Price is the injured player.
On page C7 of your game program.
What has transpired in this 3rd quarter does not bode well for Calgary because we talked about Edmonton's ineffectiveness during the course of the regular season. In the fourth quarter, however, they have scored the most points, 223 this year in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it sure has. You think, though, we did an Ottawa game early in the season where he had a long way to come back, and then the game against Calgary, 32-12, they scored 20 in the fourth quarter. So they're the type of football team that if they get it going their way, they can control it. If they don't, they can come back. This is the wide side of the field. Craig Ellis is the second receiver in. I'm sorry, third receiver. Now watch him. He's coming all the way across the field. So you know Tracy Ham has to have a lot of time for a receiver to go that far to get open. That's what we say. That front 4 or 5 plus Blake Marshall doing a good job.
First and 10, the ball at the 28. Movement at the line of scrimmage. That draws penalty flags. And moving with the football is Blake Marshall.
Marshall, the ball carrier. 2-yard gain of the play. Tackled by Matt Finley. Their flag.
Looked as though Will Johnson had definitely moved prior to the ball being snapped. And it will be an offside call.
Calgary number 81. Still first down.
We'll get a jump here. Now he jumps, but it's going to get, there it is at the top of the screen. Ballard jumps at the bottom and gets back, but Will Johnson jumps and just keeps going, and that wasn't too hard to see. I probably wouldn't have missed that one.
23-15, Edmonton leading, threatening to add to their 8-point margin with 2:46 remaining in the third quarter. They're in a 1st and 5 situation. Ham for Willis, touchdown, and it's just that easy.
They have this 3 receiver set, 3 receivers wide side, 2 on the short side. They have got everything that you can ask from it. All Tracy Ham does is finds number 24. That's the middle safety. Look to the left, turn around, and throw that ball back to Willis on the right, and it's one-on-one coverage. We said Willis had to come up and be a key. He makes the big catch.
Well, the Eskimos have a lot of support in the stadium today. 9 busloads of fans made the journey from the Alberta capital to Calgary. Willis on the receiving end of the Tracy Ham throw. It's now 29-15, and Ray McAreedy will double the advantage with this point after.
The Edmonton defense has kept Barrett off balance. He hasn't converted, and Tracy Ham, he has taken control of this game from around the midway in the second quarter. All right, watch Tracy Ham looking to his left. Now, when he's looking over here, 24 goes that way. He throws backside. There's the catch. Watch who comes into the picture. Darcy Kopp. I'm sorry, he's in the middle now, but he can't get back there to do anything. Good job by Tracy Ham.
Ham got off to a bit of a slow start in this ball game, but whatever they discussed in the intermission has certainly paid dividends for the Eskimos in this second half, because he has been directing some solid drives for Edmonton for their 2 touchdowns in the third quarter.
I was kind of watching Willis there get dressed. Most guys put a jacket on. He's putting sweatpants on. I didn't think it was that cold down there today. If I can get him a touchdown, go ahead and do it.
Ron Hopkins on the kickoff return. And again, the Stampeders have great field position to start an offensive series, but they have to start putting things together very quickly, or the Edmonton Eskimos are going to be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' opponents in the Grey Cup game a week from today.
Yeah, they can't afford to go down and kick another field goal. They have to keep this football, put it in the end zone, because Edmonton's not giving it back. They're nickel and diming and taking them down the field, but they're finishing the drive, and that's the difference in this game so far. Calgary has not done it.
They won't do it this time either, as Barrett was hit in the process of trying to throw. That ball went all the way across the field and out of bounds, but they ruled that he was in the act of throwing when he was hit.
Yeah, well, Michel Bourgeau got down inside and really put a hit on him. Watch Bourgeau. He'll be coming. Look how fast. Lambert's just now getting the feet set. There he is. Number 94 is there to hit him. That means somebody missed an assignment, because he got inside. Most defensive ends go outside. He got inside, and that's tough on a quarterback.
We're into the final 2 minutes of this third quarter. Barrett will have to run and try and get a first down. He'll be stopped about a yard and a half, maybe 2 yards short.
He's going to be 2. Just looking at where the yardstick is on the other side. What are they going to do with it? Looks like they're going to kick it.
Danny Bass, the middle linebacker, and Brett Williams made the tackle.
Well, Danny Bass drops back. As you said, they've been coming with only 4. Now, when Danny Barrett cuts back to try to go, Barrett's there to get in on the tackle. Him and along with Brett Williams, who's had a pretty fine game today, too.
There have been a number of standout performances defensively for the Edmonton Eskimos today. Manich has that 3rd down punt bounce back towards the line of scrimmage. Almost mishandled by Todd Smith. But fortunately for the Eskimos, he was able to recover with 1:25 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Well, the Stampeders haven't done that bad a job defensively if they could get the offense going. You know, they just haven't. And what Tracy Ham has done, as we said earlier, they don't like to blitz at him, so he's just been nickel and diming them. Dump the ball to Marshall. Take the 10 yards here. Take the screen pass. Run if you have to. And they can't get the ball out of his hands. You know, the defense may have to come up with the big play if they're going to get back in it.
Right now, the big problem for the Stampeders is trying to stop Tracy Ham in this 3rd quarter so far. They have not been able to. And they don't this time either, as Keith Wright takes it on the sidelines, and you can say goodbye. No, he's hauled down at the 5. Peterson managed to get a hand on his sweater and desperately clung to that jersey at the 5.
Well, you hear us say many times, when that corner, in this case, Ron Hopkins, he gambles. He goes for the interception, and he doesn't get it. Now, we're going to see what happens. Ball's going to be thrown right at you. All right, watch. He'll come in front. See if he doesn't get the interception. Now, there's nobody there. Now it's just a race. We saw number 7, Darryl Hall, chase him. Watch Greg Peterson, 24, is going to come into your picture here in a minute. And he's the one that finally makes the tackle. But a big, big play again on a harmless down-and-out pattern.
Keith Wright takes the ball to the 5. Greg Peterson, who is hanging on to Keith Wright's jersey, is the injured Stampeder. He saved the touchdown. McCrary was in pursuit of Keith Wright. There's Peterson reaching out and making the touchdown-saving tackle at the 5, but the Eskimos are 1st and goal after that 86-yard gain. Tracy Ham to Keith Wright.
Oh, you need the big plays. 86 yards are pretty big.
You know, so often Calgary football fans have had their hopes built up and then have had them absolutely destroyed. Afraid the same thing is about to happen again today at McMahon Stadium.
Well, that's what everybody talked about. You know, you're not really successful until they beat Edmonton. And they beat them for 1st place, but this one now is another test. And they've got their work cut out for them now with only 14 seconds left in the 3rd quarter.
1st and goal, Edmonton. Ham is going to run this one. Does he get in? No. He was following the block of Blake Marshall and is going to be stopped right at the goal line. And there is time for one more play, barring penalty, in the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, it almost looked like run all the way. Watch him. Gets good protection here. And Blake Marshall's leading him. He's going to block on Matt Finley. And all Tracy Ham tries to do is dive for the corner of the end zone. He comes up a yard short.
2nd and goal from the 1. No problem at all for Blake Marshall.
You can see by the alignment of the Calgary defense, that was where the weak spot was. And boy, did they hit it. Blake Marshall could have run all the way downtown. No one would have touched him. All right, watch him. Watch the lead block at the top. 83, Chris Johnstone comes in, takes on the 1st opposite color jersey, and then that man at 230 pounds could have ran home.
He led the CFL in rushing touchdowns this year with 12. And he, with that run, may have put this ball game beyond reach for the Calgary Stampeders. McCready has the point after. And with 15 minutes remaining, Edmonton leads Calgary 37-15. Calgarians planning to head over those Rocky Mountains next week to the Grey Cup game in Vancouver. Unless the Stampeders can stage something of a miracle comeback in the fourth quarter, they won't be venturing much further than the Banff area and the skiing areas to the west.
I think right now they have to go to 3-down football. There's no sense kicking anymore.
Hopkins is tripped up. Michael Souls was the man downfield to make the tackle.
Now let's take a look at why you score touchdowns in short yardage situation and how Blake Marshall's had success. Walter Ballard goes inside, and what's the job here? But the lead block on number 92 Smith by Chris Johnstone. Watch that offensive line. Look at it. No penetration. Block the first thing that shows. Bang. Knock him down. 230 pounds. You know, Junior Thurman's not going to stop him. That's a good job up front.
First and 10 from the 37-yard line. There's the toss to Tony Cherry, and Cherry picked up a couple of yards.
Tony Cherry, the ball carrier, gain of 5 yards on the play.
Orjo made the first contact with him.
I believe Blake Marshall won a Tech Brighton Trophy, didn't he, down at Western Ontario? Has to be a little disappointed in the Mustangs yesterday.
Look at the statistical difference now. They were very even after 30 minutes of play, but Edmonton really took control in the third quarter. And they're taking control defensively as well. Brett Williams brings down Danny Barrett.
Again, they do the job on the outside, containing. And we said Walker and Williams. We've seen Walker and Williams in there, but watch Brett Williams. Gets by Spallettini. Barrett has nowhere to go. Down he goes for the sack, and now it's 3rd down and 10. And they're going to kick it.
Third down kick by Matic. It bounces away from Todd Smith. He mishandled the football. It's loose, but he managed to no. Calgary claim they've got it.
All you have to do is touch it. You don't have to have possession. That's a mental mistake, and it couldn't come at a worse time. You seem to have everything under control. I don't know what happened, but we're going to get a good look at it.
Mustafa Ali is the man who apparently touched that football as it was rolling out of bounds after the 59-yard kick. Perhaps in the reverse angle, we'll see what happened.
Well, this throw, it looks like Edmonton's got it, and it comes loose. And Ali, you're exactly right. All he has to do is touch that football. A big break for the Stampeders, but if they're going to do anything, they better put it in real quick. They don't have time to mess around.
Alan Pitts goes wide to the left. Beals in motion across the formation. Barrett looking for Sapunjas, incomplete.
Not a chance. That's good coverage downfield. David Shelton, 19, has him one-on-one, and Mark Norman coming over there. Since that injury to Francis Norman's been playing in that safety position. He had no chance to complete that ball.
The only scoring for the Stampeders so far in the ball game, 5 field goals by Mark McLaughlin. They had 2 touchdown passes in the first half, one to Sean Beals, and the other to Pee Wee Smith that were dropped in the end zone. 2nd and 10. Barrett is intercepted, or did that ball bounce in front of Mathis? I believe it bounced, and the play is whistled dead. He was looking to Crawford down at the 5-yard line.
They had an official standing right there. He couldn't miss it. That ball skipped right into his arms. But hey, you go ahead and run. Let them call. They'll blow the whistle.
Danny Barrett has not had the productive day that the Stampeders required for them to advance.
Well, never got him out of his back pedal. Mathis is in a better position to catch the ball. You see the one bounce. Crawford's got to drive him deeper.
3rd and 10. Barrett's in trouble. He's going to be downed inside the 20-yard line. So the Edmonton Eskimos halt the Stampeders with 12:36 left in the game. 37-15, Edmonton leads with 12:36 remaining in the game. Stampeders had an opportunity after they recovered that fumble, but the Edmonton pass defense was solid on 3 attempts by Calgary to put it in the end zone. Penalty flags on the play as the ball goes to Blake Marshall. You know, there were some people who were speculating that with all the buildup in Calgary coming into this ball game, how Edmonton, dominating the Stampeders over the years, would come in, the opening kickoff, Calgary would fumble.
Legal procedure, Edmonton for 55, still first down.
Edmonton would recover, put it in, and score a touchdown and thoroughly deflate Calgarians early in the ball game. Didn't happen until the third quarter.
No, but it just the methodical way it happened too. Tracy Ham just went to work on it. You know, he has played outstanding, as well as that offensive line.
Blake Marshall takes the screen, and he's up to the 23-yard line.
And pass to Marshall, gain of 10 yards on the play, tackled by Mitchell Frank. Second down.
Well, we talked to a number of the Stampeders prior to the ball game. They were so optimistic and so pumped up coming into this contest. They were confident of their ability to defeat the Eskimos in this Western final.
Well, you always go into the football game feeling you can win. You know, Don, anything you play, you got to feel you can win, but then you have to do it. You have to execute.
Will Johnson is after Tracy Ham. He won't catch him, and Tracy Ham is going to run for another first down.
Tracy Ham, the ball carrier. Got 6 yards on the play.
That's just another outstanding job of Tracy Ham. Gets outside of contain. Being the athlete that he is, he sees the 1st and 10 marker on the sideline, got to it, and that was it. See the pressure try to come. Warnock's being blocked, but at the top of the screen, Trevor Bowles, he does his job. He's keeping Will Johnson from getting inside to the quarterback. But when Tracy Ham runs out, you're on your own. Trevor Bowles can't help you anymore. You've just got to outrun him.
Done a pretty good job on containing Kent Warnock this afternoon as well. That offensive line of Edmonton has worked on Warnock quite successfully most of the day. On that play, it is Warnock making the tackle on Chris Johnston.
3 excellent Canadian running backs, Marshall, Johnstone, and Solms. And then with Walling, who was scratched today because of a full groin, but they got some pretty good football players.
And they've rotated them quite well during the course of the season. Most of the times, the rotation is called by the players themselves.
That's right. Try to get everybody involved. It's the only way you're going to get any better is to get to work. And when you get in there, you do it, and you keep playing that way.
2nd and 4. Ham escapes the pressure. His pass was intended for Marco Sincar, incomplete.
That was almost like he was throwing that one away. I don't think he would have gotten 4 yards that he ran, and he threw it low and into the ground. And at this stage, the only thing you don't want to do is give him a cheap touchdown on an interception.
Well, will it be Winnipeg and Edmonton in the Grey Cup? It's beginning to look very much like that, unless Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders can do something with 10:21 remaining, and they need 3 touchdowns. McAreedy using as much time as possible for this 3rd down kick. Crawford on the return, up to the 44.
45 yards.
That's where Calgary will scrimmage 1st and 10 with 9:54 remaining after a 14. Well, wherever you may reside across the country, you won't miss a thing during Grey Cup week if you stay tuned to CBC Television. We've got the Player Awards beginning Thursday night, November 22nd, with Ron Lancaster and Brian Williams. The Grey Cup Parade with Chris Cuthbert on Saturday, and the Grey Cup game itself beginning at 4 on Sunday. Alan Pitts makes the catch, but I think he may have been out of bounds. I think he may have gone out of bounds over on the far side of the field, and that is not legal to go out of bounds and come back into the field of play.
I think it's going to be a face mask.
Forward pass interference. 18 Edmonton. Decline.
Well, caught Edmonton in the zone now. They're going to be sitting deep. All right, you just watch the hole. Here's the halfback there. You can see that's the corner. He hits that dead spot behind it. Called him for pass interference. Edmonton wanted him to be called for going out of bounds.
I'm quite sure he was. Sean Beals makes the catch. And he'll look back in this game and won't think about that reception, but the one he dropped in the end zone in the first quarter.
Yeah, and well, he should. Edmonton's sitting in that zone, and they're sitting deep now. They say, okay, Calgary, we will allow you to drive down the field and score, but we're not going to give you the big play. But the front four, they're still after him. Leroy Blue, who's done a good job of filling in for Stu Hill since the injury, he finally gets to the quarterback.
It's a first down on the pass completion from Danny Barrett to Sean Beals. Earlier, the Stampeders were down in this same position and failed to put it into the end zone. That ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage, intended for Andy McVeigh.
Well, Brett Williams either sacking him, chasing him, or tipping him. That time, he didn't get in. He just reached up, tipped the football, and it falls incomplete.
Joe Farragelli indicated that he thought some of his veteran players would come to the fore today, and he particularly mentioned Brett Williams.
Well, we said that's the time you have to do it. You know, regardless of whether you go undefeated or what, you always are going to play the West or East final.
Alan Pitts in the end zone. It's over his head. Well, Joe Farragelli may get his wish. He said last year he would sooner have been 9-9 and played in the Grey Cup than be 16-2 and finish first and to get knocked off in the Western Final.
That's why, you know, that's what we say. You know, it doesn't matter what your record is. Get there. Now you have to play an Eastern Final or a Western Final to advance. So they came up big when they had to. They came up last week against Saskatchewan at home. And then they come into Calgary, and right now they have things going their way. And I don't know, 8 minutes. They're playing that zone sitting so deep. They're not going to allow Calgary any big plays.
Another third down gamble by the Stampeders. And this time it's successful. On the receiving end is Derek Crawford down at the 15-yard line for a Calgary first down.
Good job of coverage still. Crawford gets the separation from Mathis, but he comes back and catches it. But watch Mathis. He's not very far out of the picture. Here he comes. Bang. He arrives just when the ball does. That's just good concentration by Crawford to hang on.
From inside the 15, first and 10 Calgary. 8:14 is the time remaining. 37-15, Edmonton leads. Draw play with the quarterback, Danny Barrett, and Michel Bourgeau makes certain that isn't going anywhere.
Well, they had a chance at it. You know, looked like they were almost going to be able to do it, but Kevin Powell could not cut off Michel Bourgeau, and he comes down inside and makes it. See, he hadn't shown that play. They put him out. They've run the hitch screen, but this time it's a quarterback draw. Couldn't do it. Bourgeau does his job.
Second down, Barrett trying to go back and set up, stumbles, still gets the pass away, touchdown to Alan Pitts, and there's a penalty flag on the play as well.
This is going to be a late hit on the quarterback. I don't think there's much doubt about that. Number 89, I believe, Leroy Blue is going to be called for a late hit on Danny Barrett. He trips and falls and gets back up and completes it for the touchdown.
You don't see that often, a player or a quarterback trying to set up, stumble and fall, and still have time to throw the touchdown pass. .7:39 is the time remaining. .37-21 the score. McLaughlin with the point after. And now it's a 15-point ball game. And we'll return with the Calgary kickoff after this. Well, with that late hit on Leroy Blue, as he came in to dump quarterback Danny Barrett after throwing that touchdown pass to Alan Pitts, the ball is going to be kicked off from the 50-yard line. Have to anticipate a short kick here. No, they're going to try and drive it deep. Todd Smith mishandles it. He takes it into the end zone, and this is going to be a big point. Safety touch, isn't it? No, pardon me. Single point.
It's a good play by him. You know, I mean, he had trouble picking it up and got all the way back in there. You might as well give it to him. Let's take a look at the last touchdown and see if we can see what happened. All right, here goes pitch. Breaks inside. Now stop, come back, get in there. He makes the catch for the touchdown. Barrett got up after tripping and falling. And here's the hit that Leroy Blue puts on him coming from the back. He's a little bit too late. But a good move right here to give him the single point.
That's right. Smith never had control of the ball as it was bouncing back into the end zone. Tracy Ham's pass is complete to Todd Smith up at the 50-yard line. And that is a first down.
Notice how he threw that like a dart. So a little scrambling around, looked to run, read to his left, just flipped it. Flicked it out there, right on target.
I said that was a big point. Now, 2 touchdowns, 2 converted touchdowns by the Stampeders would create a tie.
They got to stop him. So the problem's been stopping the Eskimos. Tracy Ham's had it his way this second half, as you pointed out when you showed those statistics.
Matt Finlay is after Tracy Ham. He manages to get the throw away, but Blake Marshall cannot hang on.
So what you have to hope for if you're Calgary on that situation is you say Finlay was after him, but they needed Will Johnson to get upfield a little farther so that Tracy Ham would have to stop, and then bang, Finlay could hit him from behind, but Ham uses that athletic ability.
.6:33 the time remaining here at McMahon Stadium. Tracy Ham with some impressive numbers this afternoon. And they improve even more. The ball is fumbled. The Edmonton Eskimos get it back.
Well, this is a mistake. When the ball is free, they tried to pick it up and run. I believe that's Hopkins. He has to have possession. As Tracy Ham scrambled right there he is, gets inside. Watch this. There's that right hand, knocks it out. But right here, you need possession. Just fall on it. All you do is block it around, and Keith Wright gets it. So instead of having the ball and a little bit of time, they're going to lose yardage with a first down.
First and 10. Blake Marshall picks up about 3 yards.
Marshall, the ball carrier, tackled by Matt Finlay.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders have had opportunities today, in the first half in particular, but again in this fourth quarter where they recovered the football down on about the 28-yard line. This fumble opportunity where the ball was loose and they didn't pick it up.
And right off the opening bat, or opening kickoff in the second half, a fumble. Edmonton recovered it. When that ball's on the ground, you got to get it.
5 minutes remaining. Tracy Ham on second down. Runs for a first down.
Well, he's done it all today, hasn't he?
And those Edmonton fans who made the trip to McMahon Stadium are certainly enjoying what they've witnessed.
Look at that. He steps inside of Warnock. Now he steps outside of Johnson. Starts to the outside. Just decides, okay, let's go. Inside, he sees he's got the first down, hit the deck. So he's getting his yardage and not taking the punishment that you know the defenders would like to dish out.
Henry Smith is the injured Calgary Stampeder. .439 is the time remaining. 37-23, Edmonton leads, but the Eskimos have the football and another first down at the Calgary 30-yard line. Chris Johnstone with a first down scamper to the 17. Dan Wicklum, who took over from Henry Smith at the linebacking position, made the tackle.
Straight ahead. We see Marshall, we see Souls, now we see Johnstone break it right up inside. Pierre Verchevel sets back, leads the block upfield, makes it, and then Johnston just runs hard. At 6'3", 215, he can run hard.
First and 10 from the 18-yard line, 3:47 remaining. zone again. This time his advance is limited to about 4 yards.
I think they'd be happy with that. They're down to 3:30 on the clock. They've got a big lead, 14 points. They're the ones that are driving the football. They own it. They don't need any more points. All they want to do is just keep the ball away from them. The clock is the Stampeders' enemy.
Even if they don't put it in the end zone, 3 points could put this one out of range. Here comes the blitz by Peterson. It's picked up, and Tracy Ham carries down to about the 5. And that's another first down.
And who picked it up?
Is going to run in. There's also a skirmish going on at the deepest part of the end zone. All the players now converge on it. Not sure who's at the bottom of the pile. That won't change what just occurred. Another Edmonton touchdown by Tracy Ham to make it a 43-23 game.
I was going to bet Larry Willis would be at the bottom of the pile. I think when they all get up, I'll bet you number 80's under there.
Greg Peterson, the safety, is one of the people at the bottom of that pile. Not sure who the Edmonton player was that was in there.
Again, it's just athletic ability of Tracy Ham. Look, he's going to throw. Now watch the feet. Quick feet. Steps in. Steps out. Now, get outside of the number 7 Hall into the end zone. He's had a great day.
Let's go, Tracy.
10 carries for 110 yards for Tracy Ham. 2 touchdowns. 22 of 37 passes for 442 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I'd say he's had a pretty fair day. I don't know what else is left he could do, but finishes it off with an easy jog.
And I think you're absolutely correct about the player from Edmonton involved in that little skirmish, Larry Willis.
Disqualification, Edmonton number 80. Disqualification, Calgary number 24.
Greg Peterson and Larry Willis are disqualified as the result of that scrap that was taking place. And Joe Farraghelli tells Larry Willis to head off to the dressing room.
Well, you know what happens is that when Willis was here and he went on to BC, not too many of the Stampeders had a lot of nice things to say about him. And you get your chance to get even with him today. You hope to beat him on the field. If you don't, you're going to get even with him some way else. But they're both gone anyway.
Some of the BC Lions didn't have many nice things to say about Willis when he left BC to head to Edmonton in the trade.
No, that's right. But, you know, played well for him today. He's made a couple catches.
On the convert attempt, Jordan Gartner was unable to handle the snap from center. Of course, the ball is still live, and Gartner was able to run it out of bounds. He tried to get into the end zone, but was prevented from doing so, so the score holds at 43-23.
The sad part, Don, is Willis is going around. They're going to have to cross paths down here in the end zone. I mean, they have to go around because one's over here and one's over here.
There you see Larry Willis. He's heading over to the dressing room on this side of the field. Peterson has to go to the dressing room on the other side of the field, and they're heading towards each other again. With one of the officials intervening.
That's a heads-up play by the officials. It really is. But if you have to walk them all the way to the locker room, walk them, both of them. Get them out of here. They're out of it.
So it's going to be Winnipeg and Edmonton in the Grey Cup a week from today. In the 2 meetings this season, Winnipeg won 23-20 at Winnipeg Stadium and at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton by a score of 48-25. That 48-25 win by Winnipeg on September the 28th was the start of a 4-game losing streak for the Eskimos. But that doesn't really matter much now, as the Eskimos have put together a 2-game playoff winning streak. 2:39 the time remaining. And ejected Wally Buono. Most disappointed at what has taken place today at McMahon Stadium during the course of the regular season. The Eskimos won by a score of 46-20 on August the 14th. Then in the Labor Day game on September 3rd, when they had the big crowd, 36,000 at McMahon Stadium, Edmonton won 38-4. And before the biggest crowd of the year at Commonwealth Stadium, the following week, Edmonton won 34-17. 3 lopsided wins, but Calgary prevailed 34-32 in the final game of the season on November 4th to capture first place. But today it's 43-23. Edmonton and the Eskimos are bound for the Grey Cup. Wally Buono will begin preparing for next year. Barrett's pass is complete to Tony Cherry. Close to a first down. 2:22 is the time remaining.
It's going to come back. We had a procedure penalty at the top. Hits, jump the count, wide side of the field. Can't do that. It's been one of those days. You know, they've had chances to win this football game, but first half especially. But what's amazing to me, we saw the half.
Legal procedure. Calgary number 18, still second down.
Very even. Next time we saw the stats, it was out of sight. Edmonton just completely dominated.
But you know, as late as 5 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter, it was still a 2-touchdown game, and had Calgary been able to pick up that fumbled football, who knows what may have happened. Sideline pattern to Pee Wee Smith. He takes it out of bounds at the 35-yard line for a first down.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's been one of those days. They've had the chances. The ball's there. Hopkins couldn't pick it up. Jump, catch the football. Mathis hits him in the air. First down.
First and 10 from the 35. 2:14 remaining. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Penalty flags fly. Barrett, the sideline pattern, no good.
Barrett's pass, incomplete. Headed for pick.
We talked about the statistics of Tracy Ham. It's been a miserable afternoon for Danny Barrett.
Yeah, 14 for 36. We said coming in he'd only completed 42% against Edmonton, and he's getting down there again, I'd say. 172 yards, where Ham has 442 yards. That says it all.
Early in the first half, you may recall, the Stampeders led by a score of 9-3. Barrett is caught from behind and hauled down by Mike Walker.
Barrett tackled by Mike Walker, loss of 8 yards.
Talked about Tom Burgess going to a Grey Cup game. Mike Walker's heading back to a Grey Cup game.
Yeah, he sure is. That's right. He was in Hamilton last year, and Burgess was in Saskatchewan. The only difference is Mike played and Tom did, but I think both of them will get a chance to see one another on the field next week.
Second and 13, penalty flag. Oh, what a hit. Shelton delivered the blow on Pee Wee Smith as he went up for that Danny Barrett throw.
Shelton pretty good hit on Crawford early in the game. Really KO'd Pee Wee Smith right here, but it would have come back anyway. I believe they were called for holding.
1:50 remaining. Second and 13 to play, and this penalty brings it back.
Holding, Calgary number 61, second down repeater.
Ball goes right through his hands, and Shelton rides.
Second and 23 now with the holding call, taking the ball back to the 48-yard line. From the shotgun formation, Barrett looks downfield. Shelton is there to hit Pee Wee Smith again, just to remind him that if the first one wasn't hard enough, I'll do it again.
He wasn't even looking at the football. Football was well overthrown, but he was going to make sure that if you catch it, you're going to pay for it. Barrett just gets rid of it, and Leroy Blue, like we said, there they are. Bourgeau and Blue, upfield. If he stays deep, they sack him. If he steps inside, Walker and Williams have been there all day.
One of the differences, too, early in the game, the Calgary Stampeders were picking up the pass rush of the Edmonton Eskimos, but in this second half, they've been applying constant pressure to Danny Barrett.
Yeah, Barrett just could never get anything going. You know, if you get something going, then you make the defense stop and think and maybe readjust. But when the defense starts to win, then they seem to be able to do anything. And those 4 men have controlled Calgary's offense up front.
On the other side of the field, although the Eskimos had some early difficulties with Calgary's pass rush, they have controlled it since.
And Tracy Ham ran out of trouble, ran with the football, dumped the backs, hit receivers. He's kept that defense off balance.
Third down punt by Brent Matich. Again, it bounces back towards the line of scrimmage. Matich is racing up there, but he's prevented from getting to the ball by one of his teammates. He ran into Mark Singer, and Larry Ruck picked up the football.
Returned by
1:31 is the time remaining. Only a 27-yard punt that time. Winnipeg and Edmonton, of course, have never met in a Grey Cup game. Since Winnipeg moved to the East Division, they now get that opportunity with Winnipeg winning the East today, 2017 over the Toronto Argonauts, and Edmonton Grey Cup bound with a 43-23 lead, and 1:31 remaining in the fourth quarter here at McMahon Stadium. Chris Johnstone out to the 25-yard line, a pickup of just a couple of yards.
Gain of 3 yards on the play.
This is the time during the game when you're a Calgary Stampeder, you ask your official if they'll just keep the clock running. Don't stop it.
Everybody in Fresno, California, here. Hey, Lacey, Brittany, Lynette, Gary, Avery, car washing everybody. Hey, we bring noise because we're going to the Grey Cup.
Is he trying to name everyone in the state?
Hey, just about, just about.
Mike Coles, the ball carrier.
Souls is stopped at the 26-yard line. It will be third down and 7 with third and 6 with 1:04 remaining. Very close in the first half. 13-12, the halftime score, but close statistically as well, and wasn't much difference in the play on either side of the field, but it certainly changed in the third quarter.
Yeah, at halftime, nobody had taken control. It was a close football game. Both teams were looking to, try to find out how they could handle the other. But, boy, when the third quarter started, the Eskimos figured it out in a hurry, and the second half's been all theirs.
The punt is blocked by Pee Wee Smith. That's the second time today that he has blocked the Ray McAreedy punt. But for the Calgary Stampeders, it's too little and too late.
First down, Stampeders.
Doesn't really matter now. Although I know this, you still don't want to see him block a punt. You don't want to see a punt get blocked ever, even though it doesn't matter. But coming from the right of the screen, again, comes unblocked. Here he is. Right out, bats it down. You don't ever want to see that if you're a coach. Special team coach, Eskimos would be studying that hard.
From the 28, first and 10, Calgary. Pass is intercepted by Enos Jackson. Cuts back into some traffic. Finds some red jerseys in that area and is brought down at the 33-yard line. And again, feelings running high as the officials quickly step in to separate them. Greg Peterson and Larry Willis have already been ejected from the ball game.
Jackson threw the ball at him. I didn't see what or if Calgary Stampeder did anything to him, but when Jackson got up, he threw the ball at him. This heck of an interception, though, by Enos Jackson. Watch him, just jumps out there, right in the hands, and when you're in the flat, you usually get to go a long way. But when he cuts back in, there's a lot of red jerseys.
That's the type of day it's been for Calgary when they've been in scoring position. Here, in the first half, when Danny Bass made the interception down on the 10-yard line, when they had Sean Beals wide open in the end zone, Pee Wee Smith in the end zone, they haven't been able to score.
That's right. And you only get certain number of times to get down there. When you get down there, you have to put the ball in the end zone. Edmonton has, Calgary hasn't. As a result, Edmonton goes to Vancouver and Calgary goes home.
26 seconds remaining. Tough afternoon for Joe Farragelli, though, in that he lost Andre Francis and Jeff Braswell in the first half of this ball game. Jeff Braswell certainly will be finished as far as the Grey Cup game is concerned. Andre Francis is hopeful that he will be able to play next Sunday against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
I think he'll have a tough time. I don't know if he can play. Like he says, that's the way he likes to play. He gives a shot, he can't intercept the ball, and it's his thumb, so he's going to have a big cast on. I would say he's very, very doubtful.
The final seconds ticking down here at McMahon Stadium. 5 seconds remain, and now they will be able to take those seconds off the clock. Mike Farragelli giving Father Joe a hug. You just saw Gary Durchik in there. There's Andre Francis, Ryan Dickinson, special teams coach. And that will do it. The Edmonton Eskimos are Grey Cup bound. They couldn't do it last year when they were the best team in the country with a 16-2 record. They lost in the Western Final to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who went on to win the Grey Cup. This year they were 10-8, and they beat Saskatchewan in the semifinal to achieve some measure of revenge for last year's loss. And they come back to destroy the Calgary Stampeders in the second half here at McMahon Stadium, winning 43-23, largely to the outstanding performance of that man, quarterback Tracy Henry.
Boy, he has had a good day. You know, we said in the opening that when you can throw for over 4 and run for almost 1,100, you'd had a good year, but he topped it off very well today. Took control of this game in the second half, and from then on, once he got it rolling, he was in control. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he made very few mistakes.
So while the Edmonton Eskimos celebrate, a dejected group of Stampeders and their fans leave McMahon Stadium. Edmonton winning the West by a score of 43-23. And Joe Farragelli will lead his Edmonton Eskimos against Mike Riley and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers next Sunday afternoon at BC Place Stadium in Grey Cup 1990.
Last November, the search for a national title produced a classic outpouring of emotion. Celebrate a national tradition. November 25th, the Grey Cup on CBC.
The Edmonton Eskimos are Grey Cup bound after a decisive victory over the Calgary Stampeders in the West Final. They're chanting Eskimos here. A moment ago, they were chanting Tracy. Well, they should be, because he took control of this game in the third quarter in particular. Tell me the difference between the second half and the first half of this game. Why were we able to get away so much more easy in the second half?
Well, I don't think they made adjustment to our 5-pack, what we called it. And they were playing a linebacker on a slot back, which is a mismatch. And I thought we controlled the people up front. I thought that was the key. We controlled the front four, and that allowed us to have time to throw the ball and to mix up the pass and the run.
Did you maybe feel this game beginning to turn around right here when you ran it in for a touchdown late in the first half?
Well, they've been playing a little zone, and they decided to go man. And when you go man like that, you leave lanes open, and I think that stopped them from playing man against us and go back to the zone. And when they went back to the zone, we were able to do basically what we wanted to do, and that was throw the ball to the wide out and the slot back.
Now, a moment ago, you had to ask me who won the East Division final. I told you, of course, it was Winnipeg 2017 over the Argos. Your thoughts on facing the Bombers, who beat you twice during the regular season?
Well, I don't think what happened in the regular season really matters now. I think it's who go out and prepare the best for this ball game will win. They had a good season, and deservedly so. They had come out the East. I think it'll be a good ball game.
All right, Tracy, the regular season obviously doesn't matter. You guys were sliding towards the end of this one, but you're hot now, and as a result, you're in the Grey Cup. Congratulations.
Thank you, Scott.
Stay with us. We'll return to McMahon Stadium in just a moment.